going, guys? Welcome to the WIFFY Real podcast. I'm here with a good friend of mine, man, that I met in the community. Where did we meet, dude?
Oh man, football, wasn't it? You were playing. We were playing football, and you had your hot dog truck there, and I don't know. I think your son was on our football team.
Yeah, is that where we met?
Yeah, coaching your boy.
Dude, before we get into it, dude, let me introduce you to our audience. So today we have Arizona's backdrop boss and the creative force behind PB Backdrops, baby. Transforming events with custom designs, vibrant prints, and flair that pops. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO, the founder, the head honcho, the boss, Brian Ginsberg. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Dude, Brian, thank you for being here, dude.
Absolutely.
It's my pleasure and honor to have you here as my guest, dude, on the WIFFY Real podcast, dude. As you know, or if you don't, let me tell you real quick. We're doing a podcast, dude, with a small lean on entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And so I really want to bring people like you on the pod to interview and just kind of learn a little bit about your story, and then how you got to business and how you started your business, where you are today, and then just kind of give us little snippets that you can give our audience in case somebody is thinking of maybe becoming an entrepreneur themselves, dude.
Sure.
So yeah, man. But dude, let's begin, man. So what is your story? Where does your story begin, dude?
Oh, wow. My story begins, I grew up, I was born in Van Nuys, California, raised in Upland for about 16 years in the Inland Empire of California. Moved from there to Vegas for a year, which was a huge change from California going to Vegas, and then moved from Vegas back down and finished my high school years in Dana Point, down by the beach.
Dude, the OC?
The OC.
Nice. How old were you when you moved to Vegas, dude?
I was 15. 15. That was crazy year of my life. Yes.
Dude. So do you remember that time pretty well? Like,
absolutely. Yeah. I was having a hard time in Cali. I was living with my mom and my stepdad, and I didn't get along so well with my stepdad. So I said, let's take a year. I hadn't lived with my dad in years. With my mom and dad divorced when we were really young. So I went and I lived with my dad in Vegas, and going from a little surfer boy in California to going to Vegas is not really surf in Vegas. So you got to kind of change your image and what you do. And I did stupid stuff. Vegas, like I said, was a crazy, crazy year for me. It was the half of ninth and half of 10th grade. And then that was enough for me for Vegas. Yeah, I needed back to Cali.
Dude, share with us. I don't know if you have one, but just a little quick crazy story of something you did in Vegas, dude.
Well, a couple things. I never had the same hair color for more than a week. I changed my hair color every single week, going from black to pure white, overnight, with like using that speed bleach stuff that they use. And doing it 2 times in a day. Your hair's usually supposed to fall out when you do that. No, I would do that. I would just do stupid stuff. I would pierce my ear in the middle of the classroom in 9th grade. Just to get attention. I would take a piece of ice, a safety pin, and just shove it right through in class.
Way,
oh yeah,
dude.
I was, like I said, I was stupid. We did just stupid house parties we did, and just acted like an idiot. I got probably kicked out of 10 hotels in Vegas during the time just for acting up. We got 80. Oh yeah, we got 86, and that was way back when I was that young in Vegas. There was still the ladies walking the strip that you could pay for. So we would go and we'd tease them and ride our skateboards down the strip, and like I said, go through the hotels. And the people at the hotels didn't like us, so we got booted quite a few times.
Dude, that's crazy, man. So you literally lived, that part of your year, I guess, on the strip, you can say.
Absolutely.
Having fun, dude.
Yep, we did.
Dude, so did you live in Vegas, or did you live like in the outskirts of Vegas?
We lived in Vegas. So I was probably about 4 miles from the actual strip itself. About 3 miles from UNLV. So we would skateboard all the way up to UNLV and skate the campus there. And it was skatable, walkable if we had to, or my dad would take us up there if we needed to go.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
So you go from California to Vegas, dude. You're in between your freshman year, your sophomore year.
Yep.
Very formative years, by the way, dude. And you're just seeing the lights, man.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was different. Going from little surfer kid in California going up to Vegas was a culture shock.
Yeah. What was one of the biggest differences you would say that you felt maybe?
The heat.
Yeah, for sure, right?
120 degree
Number one,
weather.
yeah.
But just the people were different. Surfer mentality versus Vegas mentality. When you're that young, it's totally different. When you're my age now, I can move anywhere and I'd be fine, but just totally different when you're a kid.
Yeah.
I kind of hit the punk rock scene when I was up there.
Dude,
That was my way of like acting out.
Yeah. Dude, interesting, man. Now that you've gone back to Vegas, like as an adult, when you go back, like, do you remember? Does it take you back when you were a kid? And
Yeah, it's funny because when you're a kid and you get kicked out of hotels, they take you down below and they'll 86 you. So they take your picture, they put it up. So if you ever go in the hotel again, they'll boot you out really quick. I still look over my shoulder at 55 years old. I still look over my shoulder thinking they're going to come and kick me out because I was 86 when I was 15 years old. That's funny, how dude. That stuff follows you. It's crazy.
That is crazy. That's a crazy story, dude. What hotels did you get kicked out of, man?
Caesar's Palace, MGM. What else was up there? Sahara was back then. There was a few others on the main strip area that we did. But those were the main ones that we did. I just still remember going downstairs. It's kind of crazy going in those hotels when they take you downstairs and they take an old Polaroid picture of you.
Yeah.
So it's a quick picture, put it up, pin it up, and show you that, hey, you're not allowed back in here again.
Yeah. Interesting, dude.
Yeah, it was funny.
Dude, so let's go back to California a little bit. So you moved back and you're living at this point where you said?
I'm in Dana Point. Yeah, I finished up my high school years in Dana Point, my junior and senior year.
Dude, so how's life in Dana Point, man?
Huge difference. I mean, I live by the beach. I'm walking distance to the actual beach. So we'd finish school, we'd go down and surf. So that was the beauty of it. A lot of professional surfers went to my high school. The toughest part was making friends again because you're starting all over. But it was a nice lifestyle there.
Right on, dude. Right on. And you lived there up until what age, man?
Till I was 47 years old. Well, lived in OC until I was 47 years old. At the beach until 19 years old, and then we moved inland just a little bit. We call Laguna Niguel, which is right next door, so only a few miles in. Yeah, I kind of ended up in that Mission Viejo, South Orange County area until I moved out here to Arizona 7 years ago.
Right on, dude. And so when you're living in California, are you running your own business at this point, or are you working for somebody? What does that look like for you, man?
When I was in California, I started at 18 years old was the day I moved out of my house. Literally the day I turned 18, March 2nd, 1988, I said bye-bye. I didn't get along with my stepfather. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. And luckily I had a older brother who allowed me to live with him. Who lived only a couple miles away. So he allowed me, I had to still pay rent.
Right.
So I was holding down two jobs at that point in time. One, I think I was selling clothing at a clothing store, and then I worked for my brother part-time as well.
Interesting, dude. What did your brother do, dude?
He started a credit card processing company in 1989.
No way.
Yeah, 1989, and I started working for him. I was the guy who licked the envelopes closed and put stamps on for his mailers that he sent out to all the new businesses that were opening up in Orange County. Went from doing that with him to installing to finally becoming a salesperson with him, and then did that for years.
Dude, so when you say he started a credit card processing company, in what year you said?
89. In 1989, yeah.
Were you guys using the...
Oh yeah, we called them the knuckle busters.
Yeah.
Yep, they were knuckle busters.
Dude, explain what that is for our audience, because I'm sure we have some young people that don't even know what that is.
Oh yeah, so it wasn't a credit card terminal where you swiped it. It was a little box. It was a little hard metal box that you would drop the card in. You'd put a little not carbon fiber, but a carbon sheet on that was like a 3-part NCR, and you would run it across. And as you're doing it, your knuckles are hitting. So we end up calling knuckle busters. And it would imprint the credit card. You'd get a signature on it. You'd keep one copy. You'd give a copy to the customer at that point in time.
Dude, so let's just talk about that real quick for a little bit. So in those days, I mean, as I'm talking to you and I'm thinking through it, I'm thinking like, man, was there a lot of fraud back then, dude? Or like, because
not nearly as much as there is now. There's so much more fraud today than there was back then. It was a lot harder back then. So
interesting, dude. Yeah. I would think because like, it wouldn't, like, say I bought a product, right? But it wouldn't get processed right away. Right? Like we would have to mail it and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'd mail it into your bank, but you're getting ID. You got a face to somebody. You're looking at an ID. If somebody didn't take your ID and you had a stolen credit card, absolutely you could get away with it. But if you're matching up,
Right.
names to IDs, you're okay. So, but again, it's much easier now for fraud than it was back then.
Interesting, dude. Interesting, man. So at this point, you're working two jobs.
Two jobs.
One of them is working for your brother who has his credit card processing company,
Yep.
dude. Did that go pretty far? Or,
Oh yeah, for him. It's still going. We still actually own a credit card processing company today.
Get out, dude.
So from '88 till about, oh my goodness, '99, my brother sold his company. So actually a percentage of his company to a venture capital firm way back then, right before the big .com boom ended. So he made a boatload of money at that point in time, and then the .com went boom and just crashed.
Right.
And
I
then,
remember that. Yeah.
and it changed the industry a little bit because the Squares and the PayPals, that's when Squares and PayPal started coming in '99, 2000. So it kind of changed the way we did business. So for a while it was we sold equipment and you made your money off credit card equipment.
I see.
And then it turned to no more equipment sales because everybody's giving it away free.
Right.
To now you're making money on the back end. So it used to be front end money and that was it. And then back end money was obviously the better bet was going the back end because it's long term.
I see, man. Dude, and so so let's go back real quick. So so you're working with your brother, you have another job at this point. Or I guess the better question is, like, at what point do you start considering, like, man, maybe I want to open my own business, or like, what does that look like for you, dude?
Well, prior to me actually doing that, so as I was doing all my brother's installations for him, I'd ride on a motorcycle. I'd ride from Orange County to LA to San Diego to Riverside, and I would install this equipment. So I learned a lot about the business by doing that. And then one day he got a phone call and he had a sales call and he said, I can't go. Would you like to go? And I said, brother, I'm in a tank top and shorts. Sure, I'll go. So I called the client. I said, you don't mind if I come down in a tank top and shorts, do you? And they're like, nope, come on down. So it was actually at a car wash. They had an car audio place that was in there that needed credit card processing. I actually went in there. Not only did I make the sale, but I did a trade with them. I got my whole car set up with a new stereo system and $1,000 cash for the equipment we sold back then. And my brother was okay with it because I made him his money on his equipment. But then I got all the new equipment in my car. So
Dude.
that was my start in sales. That day was my start in sales.
Dude, did you oversell that thing and just kind of like threw in that package deal, or what?
Well, I knew what I had to sell it for in order for him, and I knew what our normal sales price was. So he allowed me to take, instead of me taking my commissions, I was able to take it in my car. But he allowed me to do that with a lot of things. I got golf clubs. I did, stereo equipment, whatever we could trade, we would always barter for back then.
Dude, interesting, man.
Yeah.
Dude, so as we're talking, it sounds like you were pretty close to your brother, man.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. If I could say I owe it a lot to somebody, it would be a lot to my brother. He's taught me a lot through my life and taught me how to treat people, how not to treat people. That's the main thing, because your name is everything that you have.
Right. That's a very interesting fact, man. I was listening to somebody the other day, and somebody who I listen to when it comes to like business and how to network and stuff like that, dude. And they said something that was very key. I had never really thought about, dude. They're like, you know what? Your name, people didn't realize this before, right? Before they would start a business and they would like, the name of your business was your identity. He's like, but in the day and age that we live in today, your name is your business. Like, you are your business.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, like that just opened up my mind, and I definitely see things differently since I heard that, dude. And I was like, wow, But that makes total sense, man. But so are you still close to your brother? Like,
yeah, still close to my brother. He's in Orange County. He's still in the credit card arena. We're still in the credit card arena. It's just we're not super active in it anymore.
I see.
He is. I'm not.
Yeah.
I got bored with it. So in 99, 2000, we decided when my brother sold, it was a family-run company at that time, but when he sold, they brought in CEO, CFO, HR, too many cooks now in the kitchen.
Right.
So when you had to ask for something, you had to go through 6, 7 different people to get an answer of either yes or no, where before it was, hey, brother, can we spend the money on this and get it done? Sure, done. You know, less than 24 hours, you got it done.
Right.
And at that point in time, me and my best friend, who's still my best friend, he's in California. We were running my brother's sales floor. We had about 75 people on the sales floor. Plus, we had a road crew that went out with some seminar companies, and they did the credit card process. So we were probably managing 300 to 400 new accounts per month that were coming in with these 75 reps. And oh boy, I'll tell you, when you have that many people on the floor, it's craziness. It's pure craziness.
How inspiring, man. I mean, you guys were in the thick of it, dude.
We were.
That's a full-blown business right there, man.
Yeah. And then when he sold, we didn't like that. We liked the family part of it, come to us. So at 99, 2000, we decided, okay, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to work for my brother, but we're going to open our own office. So me and my best friend and my oldest brother decided we're going to go open our own office. And that's what we did. And we're 25 years later, we're still running. We have one sales guy and the two of us, and he kind of runs the sales, and we kind of riding the residuals right now, which is nice. 25 years later, we're still making residuals off this business.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so interesting, man. So I would say that's one of your businesses.
Yes.
Right? Interesting, man. So going back to your brother, man, like how can I phrase this, dude? Like, how much older was he, or what?
He's 2.5 years older, 3 years older.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the middle brother, and then I have an older brother. The middle brother was the entrepreneur from get-go. At, I think, 18 years old, he had front cover of a magazine already, a business magazine.
Get out, dude.
Yeah, he was. So we worked for my stepdad for many years. I started working and selling like at 14 years old with him, and we traveled around the United States selling real estate packages.
I see.
He was a real estate guru, infomercial guy, and he taught us a lot about selling, but he also taught us a lot what not to do. He was, come to find out, he wasn't the greatest guy after all, but he did teach us about being an entrepreneur and being a business guy. So my brother took all the good that he learned and took that with him when he left my stepdad, and brought that to his businesses, and we kind of followed that.
Interesting, dude. So at this point, you're running that company.
Yes.
And then that's what you're doing full time, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. So is there a time in your life during this time where you start something else, or do you move, do you pivot, or what are you doing during this time?
Yeah, we had a couple different businesses. So we're selling credit card processing. We added business opportunities to go with it. So I had another partner that we partnered up with, and we were selling an opportunity to go with the credit card processing. So that was another company. And that lasted for quite some time. We had a sales floor of over 50 people that we were managing again, good, bad, and ugly. Because sales guys will be sales guys, and they'll say what they, and that's just not what we like to,
Right.
So if you weren't doing the right thing, you were out.
Yeah.
If you were good and you stunk, you were out. But I let my partner handle all the firings for the people that were really good people. They just couldn't sell. Anybody was lying, stealing, or cheating, I had no problem. Easy, let them go out. Yeah,
dude. So at this time, how old are you, more or less?
In my 20s, late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
Dude, so you have a business. Not only do you have a business, but you have a successful business.
Yep.
You're in the OC, right? During this time?
Yep.
Still? Orange County? Dude.
And it was semi-normal back then. The pricing wasn't horrible back then. You could actually buy a house back then, not like today where it's just crazy there. But yeah, it was a good life. I can't complain.
Dude, were you partying hard at this time, or?
No, I've never been a real partier except for that 15-year-old stage, 15 and 16 years old. I've never been a big partier, so it never really intrigued me. I kind of watched everybody else do that stuff, and it wasn't me.
Really interesting, dude. Cool. So, during that time, I guess another question, business question, man, but not really like a business, but like a side business, I would say, or maybe leaning more towards the portfolio aspect. Like, did you buy real estate during this time, or what did you do, man?
I wish I would have changed things. We did some stock trading, did some shorting of stocks, and we didn't. Back then, you didn't save like you should have. In retrospect, if I could go back, I'd be probably a multi-millionaire today if I would have just put that money away. We just spent. Nobody knew things were going to change. There was nobody in your ear saying save, and. We lived a good life.
Yeah.
And I was married at 23, had 2 kids, and
man,
it was a good life.
Young, dude.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, me too. I think I got married if I remember right, dude, 22, man. I was 22. Yeah, I had my first kid when I was 23.
Yeah.
But Dude, yeah, same thing. So that's actually a good lesson, man, for all of you guys listening to us out there. Same thing happened to me, man. My first successful business where I could say that like I was turning a profit over for at least a period of time, dude, was my hot dog business.
Yeah.
My food truck, dude. I had a good like first 3.5 years, you know?
Right.
And honestly, I'll share it one day, dude. But some of the events I did just blew my mind. I was like, I never imagined that I would be in that situation, you know?
Right.
But the same thing here, man. I didn't save, you know, I didn't save. And looking back, if I knew then what I know now, if your business is doing good, you want to live a good life, but you also want to save, man.
Right.
Not only to save, but to, you know, to have the resources to pivot if you need to pivot or invest in other opportunities, man. So for sure, man, definitely lesson learned there, man. But right on, dude. So you're originally from California. Your brother started a business. You worked for your brother. You learned the business. You kind of opened your side business within the same lane.
Right.
And then at this point, you know, you're still living in California. You're obviously now living in Arizona, man. So tell us about that, man. Why the pivot? Why the change?
Well, we were living in California. I had been through a divorce. I had met my new wife, Jill, who's the backbone of my company and me. We had two new kids. Two new kids, yeah.
Shout out to Jill.
She is, shout out. And we were living in California, and we were living in rentals. You couldn't buy back then for something that it was crazy. We were renting a 3,300 square foot 1990s house. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. You're in California in Orange County, but it was old.
Right.
And it was like $3,300 a month for rent. And this was 7-8 years ago. This isn't today. This is 7-8 years ago. Today it's like $6,000 for that same house, which is just nuts. Yeah. And we weren't getting anywhere. We were making good money, the both of us. She had her own job, I had my own, but we were living like peasants on a king's salary, I would say. And we were just like, this is killing us. But the reason I did move is I had my two kids down there. And I promised that I wouldn't move more than 5 miles away from them. While, you know, I went through the divorce. I'm not going to leave them. However, at one point, my ex decided, my daughter was off to college, so I wasn't really worried about her. But my son and my ex decided to move an hour and a half away to Yucaipa. And me and my wife, my new wife, Jill, we were, you know, just pondering like, why are we here? Like, he's not here anymore. He's an hour and a half away. We're wasting money on rent. Let's just go take a peek. Her dad lived in Arizona, her brother and her auntie, and she had some cousins that lived in Arizona. So we decided, let's just go take a trip up there. And that one trip changed everything. It was kind of crazy. We were up here searching. We were looking in Goodyear. We looked right across where the new Target is around the corner from us. And then we came to Verrado. But in the meantime, while we were up here, we got in our first auto accident with the kids in the car.
No way, dude.
Yeah, so it was me, Jill. Grayson was a baby. Braden was, I think, 3 years older. So he was a little bit older, but Grayson was still in his car seat. And my son, Vinny, who's 22 now, he was in the back seat. And we were at Lower Buckeye and Jackrabbit or the 303. And we were stuck at a light, and some girl plowed into us at a dead stop, and just rear-ended us. She was on her phone texting.
No way, dude.
Yeah, and it hit so hard that my son's rear seatbelt broke.
What?
Yeah.
That's
so,
crazy,
I mean,
dude.
we weren't horribly hurt. It was enough to, you know, we had to do physical therapy. My son in the, thank God for the car seats.
Right.
My two boys were good, but the oldest, you know, backache. Me and Jill probably got it the worst. She got a black eye because she was holding her phone in her hand and smacked her in the face. And of course, my first thing, I ran out and checked to make sure that the girl was okay, but it was like texting and driving. So that was our first start to Arizona. But man, we found Verrado after looking at a couple other places, and Verrado is the same builder where we were living in California, which is D&B.
Get out, dude.
So it was not only like the same parks, the same street names, the same roundabouts. So it just felt like home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and what you could get a house out here for. We looked at a house, we were like, it was $440,000 for a 4,300 square foot brand new home.
Yeah, yeah.
Back in California for that same house, it would have been 1.6 million.
At least, dude.
Easy with no yard.
Yeah,
and we were
right.
like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So we decided at that day let's find our house, and we're building, and it went from there.
Dude, interesting.
7 years later, now we're here, and we would move back.
Yeah, so 7 years, same thing for me, dude.
Yep.
This July 31st, it'll be 7 years for me living in Arizona. And yeah, same thing for my story is kind of similar, dude, in the sense that I was living in California, dude. I was living in Palm Desert.
Right.
Literally in the corner of, actually, I was living in La Quinta at that point because I had lived in Palm Desert, but I was living in La Quinta. I was living in a house literally like a mile away from the corner where Palm Desert, La Quinta, and Indian Wells meet.
Right.
The tennis gardens. I don't know if you've been out there.
Yes, I am. Yep.
But and I worked at a place right there, literally right next to the tennis gardens. But really nice area, dude. We loved it, you know. And even though it was a small town, it had like a big city feel for us. And I know that sounds funny, but because we come from like an agricultural like little town, you know, so it just felt great, you know. But same thing, dude. The houses, for at least for us, were like super out of our price range, dude. And I remember one day I told my wife, I was like, you know what? If we don't move, like we're never gonna be able to launch. That's what I told her. And I said, let's go check Arizona out. And I remember we had come a couple of times just to kind of drive around and see things. And I stopped like at a builder here not too long ago, and or during that time, and they were selling houses for like 190,000, dude.
Right.
When I first got there, I was like, man, is this for the lot? You know, and no, that's the whole house. I was like, what? You know? So, but don't regret it. I love the fact that we moved out here. A bunch of opportunities have risen from the move and here in Arizona, man. So I just feel like a lot of doors have opened here. We'll touch base on that a little bit right now, but going back to your story, dude. So at this point, have you started PB backdrops? Dude?
Have not. So during my run of doing credit card processing around 2010, I started getting really bored with the business again because the Squares and the PayPals were taking over. It wasn't fun being in the office anymore, and I needed something fun to do. I was still going to do that, but I just needed something fun. So I had I can't say a really good friend, a friend of mine who's a little surfer guy. He started a photo booth business, and he started with one photo booth, and 6 months later he had 6. And I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. So for the next 6 months, I talked Jill into, you know, every night I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning researching what booth do I get? What am I going to do? Am I going to do this? And 6 months later, we buy our first photo booth. And that's where the fun began. So it was fun for a while because it was at that point in time, it's every weekend. You're doing weddings, you're doing bar mitzvahs, you're doing corporate events, you're doing anything that photo booth related at that point in time. And I did that for a couple of years. And while doing photo boothing and actually have fun, I found a need for some products. And that's kind of when PB Backdrop started, about 2012, when I found that need for my first product that the clients wanted. But during the photo booth time, it was just every single weekend. I was Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was leaving to an event to set up, and then I wouldn't get home until 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning after finishing the event.
Dude, so you said 2012. So did you start PB Backdrops in California or here?
Started in California.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So that's when you were doing the photo booth.
Yes.
So when you get here, you're still doing the photo booth, but you added
the PB Backdrop. So PB Backdrop started in California. Again, I found the need for one product. It was a rosette backdrop, and I started selling that, and it was going well. And it spawned into, hey, people want props. So I found a place that made props, and I worked out a deal with them, and we started selling props. So those were my first 2 products, and we did our first trade show, and it was a hit. And then it just spawned on from product after product after product. So we went from 1 product to 2 products to today we have over 5,000 products that you can purchase from.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and it went from just like the photo booth industry where that's all we did. And it wasn't, and the photo booth industry is a decent size, but it's worldwide. So my shipping for it isn't just, say, Arizona or California or Texas. It's worldwide. I'm shipping to Germany. I'm shipping to, the Switzerland. I'm shipping to South Africa. You name it, we have product there.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I went on your website and I was noticing that. I was like, wow, this thing's worldwide. Dude.
Yes.
So cool, man. Dude, let's take a quick pause from talking about the business. And dude, I don't know if you have a story of a crazy event that you went. Like, what's your craziest story of the craziest event that you've ever experienced, dude? When you were doing the photo booth, dude.
The photo booth, you know what? Probably really just drunk people. It didn't matter what event it was. It was just drunk people at the events. And you're finding people coming in, and you take, they don't realize that all the pictures are stored with me. after it's over and after they've dropped their shirt, those pictures stay with me. They don't realize that, or they forget that they're not wearing anything underneath. And I've had people falling out of the booth drunk. I've had it's crazy what those type of things you see, but no real like off the wall crazy events. Just more like crazy people at events.
Yeah, dude. So I'll share a funny story with you, dude, of one of my craziest events, dude. So I think it was literally my craziest event that I ever had, dude. So long story short, I get like an inquiry like early February of this company that wants to hire me for an event they're going to do. And so cool, I send them a questionnaire and they send it back with like partial information filled out, but not completely. So I'm trying to just reach out to them, over time, not super intentional at first because I was busy. So I was doing other things. But then, as time went on, I was like, dude, I wonder if we're still doing this event or not. So I would shoot him an email and he wouldn't really respond with like, deets. And so finally my wife one day, she was like, dude, just look at his email, like, and then like take the name and just like type it into the browser. And I was like, dude, that's so like, you're right. So I hadn't realized, but like the name was like something party production. And so we type it in, dude, and it's like this pool party company, but not just your typical pool party type of company, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, interesting, dude. But by this point, it's already like 3 weeks out. Like we're gonna go, And so finally, I get all the details and I get like the address. Like I get a text with the address. All right, this is where you're gonna show up, dude. This and that. I was like, cool. Which I found funny because I had been asking him, like, dude, where am I gonna go and at what time am I gonna show up? But he wouldn't answer those things, And so anyways, I'm laughing because my dad was all mad, humorously, of course. But he's like, dude, out of all the events, that's the one you didn't take me to, dude. But I ended up taking my wife, dude, because I took my wife. I was like, hey, you want to come with me? She was like, yeah, I'll go with you. So I didn't know what I was getting into, dude. So I pull up, dude. It's like a freaking mansion in Peoria, dude, And the guy's like, he sees me, he waves at me, and then he's like, you're going to go in through here? Bro, he pulls the gate open, and when he pulls the gate open, dude, I was like, holy moly, dude.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Dude. And then, like, I look over at my wife, and I'm like, should we go? Dude, because I felt so weird. And she looked over at me, and she's like, nah, dude, we're already here. Let's make some money, dude. I was like, hoorah, baby.
Yeah.
Dude, long story short, I think it was like a swingers party or something, dude. But, dude, a bunch of naked people, dude. The girls obviously topless and stuff like that, dude. It took me a minute to adjust, not going to lie, dude. I was a little disappointed. Yeah, I saw a lot of, just kidding. I won't get into that, dude. But all that to say that, it took me a minute to adjust, But then after a while, you kind of lose, what's the word I'm looking for, dude? Like sensibility or like what I'm trying to say is like, it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, it's just there.
It's just there. You know?
You're there to work, and it's just
you're there to work, and it's just there.
Yeah.
And like I said, all the girls were like topless and stuff like that, but all the dudes were just wearing like shorts,
Right.
But there was this one old dude. He was probably in his 70s, hung like a freaking horse, dude.
And he's of course not the one wearing the shorts,
he's the one not wearing the shorts. Dude, I was like, dude, if I was that guy, dude, I'd be that guy, dude. But it was just funny, dude.
Oh
I was playing around with my wife, like, hey, don't look or whatever. And ironically, we're selling hot dogs, dude. So. But yeah, dude, so that was my craziest event when, the one event I got called to.
Oh my God, that's funny.
And then they're like, dude, WIFFY, we totally love your vibe, dude. We're going to call you for next year. And I was like, yeah, man, yeah. And then I left. I'm like, I ain't coming back. But
that's classic.
But yeah, dude. So cool, man. Going back to PB backdrops, man. So then you start, by the way, dude, I just want to give you your flowers, man. That's what we say nowadays, like an expression for like, just give you props, man, for like, I see you out there, dude. I see you hustling, man. And then the things that you post online, obviously that communicates what you're doing. But I guess I've seen a little bit of the second part of this business, from where you were to where you are today.
Right.
And I just want to say, man, that that's one of the reasons why you're here today, man. Not necessarily that specifically, but what I'm saying is like, I appreciate you as a person. You're a great guy, dude.
Thank you.
And then I also appreciate your hustle, man. Like I see you and you're out there hustling and you're making it and participating in some incredible things, man.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing, man, because
Thank you.
it's obviously working, man. But and it's inspiring, dude. So I've been inspired, dude, by just watching you.
Oh, thanks.
You know, especially in recent days, which we'll get to, dude, because you've partnered with some cool organizations, man.
Absolutely.
But yeah, dude. So I've seen it kind of grow, and quite frankly, I mean, I'm sure maybe it hasn't felt that way for you, but from a bystander's perspective, dude, like relatively quickly, man. You know, which speaks into your hustle, of course, right?
Right.
Because it doesn't happen overnight or by itself. But just share a little bit into that, dude. So, like, you know, the second part of your business, or the second aspect, when you start selling the product and stuff like that, like, you know, what has that been like, dude, and where are you at today with that, dude?
It's changed my life. I never thought I'd be where I'm at today, doing what I'm doing. I mean, who knew that, you know, 2 little products would spawn into 5,000 plus products shipping
Right.
worldwide. I have manufacturing here. I have manufacturing overseas. I have manufacturing in Mexico, Texas, California, Pennsylvania. Quite a few different areas where we ship from. We ship from Litchfield Park, where we're at now.
Get out, dude.
Yeah, we ship. I probably 10% of the product we have will ship directly from me versus coming directly from my manufacturer to you.
Interesting, dude.
Yeah, but it's crazy how fast I can still get stuff to people. I get stuff from overseas in 2 days.
Dude, I noticed that. Yes.
Yeah, it's I pay for it. So just like myself, I'm quality. I pay for quality. I want my clients to have quality. We just hit over 3,250 5-star reviews. And if you read, over half of them will have my name in them. That people are buying me. My products are always going to sell. Whether you buy from me, you buy from somebody else, or they're buying from me.
Right. Of course.
I'm treating every customer like they're my only customer, and you know, they get that special treatment from me. But then they also get the quality products to go with it. But it's like I said, it's been crazy. So we started again in 2012. Started doing our first trade show. We just hit our 10th year of doing the same trade show. I got in the photo booth world. I'm part of the Photo Booth Hall of Fame now, which is kind of cool. I mean, if you're not in the photo booth industry, who's like, Photo Booth Hall of Fame? What is that? Big deal. But it's a big deal for us, you know, to get awarded. And we were part of I was one of 10 that was part of the first batch inaugurated into the Photo Booth Hall of Fame, which was pretty cool.
Out, dude.
Yeah, pretty cool feat. And then I've had some other awards that we've done, and I've got to the point where now they're roasting me at some of these things. And you know, when you're getting roasted, I don't know if you've ever watched these roasts. You know, you've made it when you're getting roasted.
For sure, dude.
I can take it. It's like, oh my God, they roasted me pretty hard this last year at the show. And I was like, I just laugh.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's all in fun and games. People love you. There's some people that hate you. There's always going to be haters when you're on top. And you just kind of deal with it. I've gone through some crazy stuff with some ex clients of mine turned who they think they're competitors, really not competitors, but some crazy, nasty stuff with that, which is never good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a crazy journey. This past 2 years, we've trying to break out of the photo booth world and get more, sticking with that because that's our bread and butter, but more breaking into Arizona. I want Arizona to know about us.
Yes.
So that's why you're seeing a lot more of us in Arizona. You're seeing a lot more postings here locally because we're trying to reach Arizona and let them know what we have here. Trying to start with Verrado and Litchfield Park and the surrounding areas. And it's working out.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Definitely, dude. So that's a good segue into what I want to talk about next, dude. So if you can, please share with us a little bit of the partnerships that you've built here locally, dude, because some of those are really, really cool, dude.
Yeah, probably the best partnership. It's not really here, but it's actually all around the world. Is with VIP Nation. I don't know if you know who VIP Nation is. They're owned by Ticketmaster. They do all the concert series throughout the world. So I've got pretty much all of the United States locked up. We do all the VIP rooms for all the concert tours that they put on.
Get out, dude.
Some of them, you know, they'll ask us to do artwork for them, and then, you know, we come to find out, hey, we don't need it because the concert didn't take off. They didn't sell enough tickets. But we're doing like all the hot country concerts. Jason Aldean. We're doing Morgan Wallen. We're doing Madonna. We're doing Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey. You name it, we've pretty much done it. If they're a concert tour with VIP Nation, we're doing all the VIP rooms. So good perks with that is we do sometimes get to go to the concerts. And it's not always free tickets, but we'll pay face value. But we get the VIP room, treatment, and we get to go see our products in action, which is really cool.
Dude, that's so cool, man. That's so cool. I noticed that you partnered with the Rattlers.
We did, the Arizona Rattlers. So my wife, Jill, she talked me into joining BNI, and BNI is Business Networking International.
Right.
It's a group that they've asked me for years to join, and it was always a commitment. It was always one day a week. You had to be there, and if you weren't there, they kick you out. And it was expensive, at least in my eyes. You had to pay for it, and I'm like, I have to pay for it now. You're going to tell me when I have to be there? I don't like that, and it just wasn't for me. So I said, Jill, if you want to do it, you're taking it on. You're going every week, and man, she has knocked it out of the park. The relationships we've built, not only with local, businesses, we ran into the Rattlers. The Arizona Rattlers were part of the BNI group.
Get out, dude.
Yeah, which was
Is
really
it that
cool.
Group that I've been to?
Yes.
Dude, they were there?
Yeah.
Holy moly, dude.
Yeah, so we worked. She cultivated that relationship at BNI, and we went to go sit with the president and the head coach, who's the president there, and the vice president, and we worked out a deal with them, and now we're partners with them. So not only are we doing all their banners and backdrops and championship banners that just launched from the ceiling when the season opened, which was really cool to see. We also have a 16-foot dasher board at the indoor stadium at Glendale, Desert Diamond Arena, and 16 with our logo on it, which is really cool. And that led into also their sister team, which is the wife of the owner of the Arizona Rattlers, which is the Tucson Sugar Skulls.
No way.
So now we've got two professional sports teams that we're partners with. So it's not they're just buying products; we're actually partners with them.
Get out, bro.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Hey, Noah, can you give me a little bit more mic, or is it just my headphones, dude? It's in my headphones. Cool. Hey, dude, that is wild, dude. Again, let's go back to your story real quick, dude. So you're doing photo booths.
Yep.
From photo booths, you start selling 2 products.
Right.
From those 2 products, you start selling 5,000 products.
Right.
And from that, now you're like super connected in the community here in the Phoenix area, dude.
Right.
Like you're doing these incredible things, and not only locally but internationally.
Correct.
Dude, so with that said, I want to segue into some of the questions, final questions that I want to ask you, dude, because I feel they're key for people who are interested in starting a business and or already have a business and are thinking of scaling it, man. But I'm not going to ask you the questions that I thought of asking you in order. I'm going to ask you in out of order, I guess. But,
okay.
Because we were just talking about one specifically, dude. So one of the questions I asked was how do you network and how do you use that to impact your business, dude? And I think that's a perfect question right now for exactly what you just said, dude. Like you don't get to do what you said that you're doing now without networking, right? Man. So how have you found it? How have you networked, dude? Like, how have you networked and how have you found it helpful? And then not only helpful, but like, how have you, like, what are the tricks and trades? How have you tweaked your networking approach over these past years, man?
Well, you're always talking about your business no matter where you go. You have to. You always have to talk about it. I don't care who you're talking with. You never know who you're talking with. You always talk. And Jill keeps pushing me to do that. Sometimes I'm I'm on vacation. I don't really want to talk about business. I want to enjoy, but she's always pops in there and she says, oh, you own a business. Oh, do you need flags or tents or banners or whatnot?
Right.
And you just start talking and you just be yourself. You're a genuine person selling a genuine product and you're not slamming it down somebody's throat. You're just talking about it because you love what you do. And I love what I do. You have to love what you do to make it fun. And I have a great time with my work, whether it's out on the football field, coaching our kids. I'm at that point in time, I'm talking to CCV about my product. We're coaching for CCV. They have these tents out there. I'm like, why aren't you using me?
Right.
And that leads into them talking to somebody else who then needs my service and product. And you have to always be talking about your product or service to somebody.
Right. Very, very cool. Very interesting, dude. What's been one of your experiences in doing that has translated into something pretty cool? I mean, I guess you just shared that, but like, if you were to be more specific, like,
like I said, with VIP Nation, they had one segue that needed, one section that needed a backdrop, And it was the persistence of me after they ordered it to continue to get orders from them. And once I showed them what I can do, they passed my name on to the East Coast. They passed my name on to Midwest. They passed my name on to overseas, you know, and it just keeps, it's almost like it's a domino effect.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you provide something good to somebody and you take good care of them, they're going to talk about you.
Dude, within the same subject of networking, man. So if we go back to the early parts of your story, obviously from getting from point A to point B to selling 5,000 products, it took a lot of networking because you had to connect with these like manufacturers and stuff like that, dude. So just real quick, dude, how did you go about that in a nutshell without giving too many details, obviously, but just like, how did you go about that? How'd you find some stuff and how were you able to connect with these manufacturers?
The stuff was easy to find. Once you're in with overseas, you can find anything that you need, and you just have to find the right partners over there. The main thing was how do you find clients? And in the photo booth world, it was a smaller knit community. I did all guerrilla marketing. I didn't pay for any marketing. I literally, it was posting stuff on Facebook. That was that's how I started my business. Everything was on Facebook. And there was photo booth groups who had, 5,000, 10,000 members. And it was me pushing my product on there. But then once I pushed my product, I got my clients to push my product for me. I would ask for reviews, ask for reviews, ask for reviews. I think I'm the only one in the photo booth industry in our network, in our networks that we have, that got in trouble for too many reviews.
Get out, dude.
No kidding. I got in trouble for having too many reviews. People thought I was paying my clients for reviews, which companies do all day, any day. They pay for them. I never paid for one review ever. I just did something so good that my clients said, okay, I will review you because you were so good.
Right.
And I just asked for it. If you don't ask, you won't get.
Dude, I want to pause you right there real quick because this is something that I was talking to, I think, on my dad on the podcast earlier too, but or in one of our live episodes. I don't know if it was him or somebody else. I think it was my buddy. Anyways, but the power of a question, man. And I want to reiterate that for our audience because as the good book says, man, you don't have because you don't ask, dude. Dude, I can tell you one thing, man. Like, I've seen the power of a question and its fruits, so to speak.
Right.
With what I do now, or I'm trying to do with like events and stuff like that, finding sponsors, man, it takes a lot of work. However, it's been a little bit easier than what I expected, and it's been because I just asked.
Right.
Kind of similar to you're relentless in promoting your business. I've been relentless in asking for sponsorships, dude.
Right.
Like I just walk up to random places and all of a sudden it'll come to mind, like ask, and I'll ask. So, and for the most part, I've gotten more yeses than nos.
Right.
'Cause sometimes people just want to get involved, but I think sometimes people are afraid, of asking, for whatever reason.
Right.
Oh, they're going to say no, or they're just afraid of rejection or whatever the case may be. But I want to encourage you, man, if you're watching this podcast today and you're interested in opening a business or you have a business and you either need sponsorships or you need to sell your product, ask because you will be surprised with the outcome of your question, man. So
yeah, and I feel that way too. Like a lot of people are afraid to ask because they're afraid what they're going to get back. Like if I ask for a review and somebody gives me a bad review, that just means I'm going to get better because I have to fix why that was bad. All my reviews aren't always perfect, but that's my learning point at that point in time. I've never stopped learning, right? If somebody tells me, hey, you did this wrong, I have to really look deep inside and say, did I really do this wrong? Or is it just one of those clients? Because you have those clients who you can never make happy. Doesn't matter what you do. You can give them gold and it's not gold enough for them.
Right.
But for the most part, when somebody gives you a bad review, it's something that you need to reflect back on and fix it. And that's what I've done over time. And I think that's why I'm very popular in my industry is if something goes wrong and it's my fault, there's no questions asked. I fix it. I don't care what it costs me. I fix it. And it's just that simple. And again, ask. I not only ask, I have software now that asks for me. So I've got it coming from multiple angles. Back when I was doing guerrilla marketing, it was just me. I didn't have the software to do it. Now the software reminds them to give me a 5-star review, to give me a review period. And like this past weekend, I came in on Sunday and I had 15 5-star reviews from the weekend. That's huge. A lot of companies don't get 15 5-star reviews their whole career.
Right.
I mean, you can look on these Yelp and the Google reviews and they don't ask enough.
Right. They don't ask enough. That's the key, man. So again, asking you questions out of order here because
Yeah.
of the flow, dude. So creativity, dude. One of the questions I ask people is, how are you creative and how do you incorporate that into your business, man? Dude, so I've been seeing you get a little bit creative, which is awesome. I think if you're not on social media nowadays promoting your business, like, you're losing out. You're missing out,
Right.
Because it's like free promotion right there,
Right.
especially the way the algorithms work nowadays. Like, you have the capacity to reach millions of people. All you have to do is click record, right?
Right.
But speaking to that a little bit, man. So how are you creative? Do you feel like you're creative? And how are you incorporating that into your business, man?
Well, we just hired a social media team. It used to be, like I said, it was just me, and I can only be so creative. I'm only as good as I can get, when it comes to stuff. So we hired a social media team, Cowboy Benji, who comes and does commercials with us, and we've created some really cool and fun interactive commercials showing off our product. And we've gone down to places where I've done like Avondale Elementary School District. We did all their bus clings for them. We did 35 buses. So we took Cowboy Benji out and we brought the drone up and, we did a commercial in front of the buses and he did his drone footage and got creative with that to kind of show off to our local area. This is what we do. I mean, granted, it can show to the world, but I'm really trying to show Arizona, hey, here's what we can do for you.
Right.
We did probably 35 more of our mesh banners around all the campuses that showing that they're A-rated campuses. So we did the stuff there, and we just put some really creative commercials together, like me and my wife jumping through a portal, and every time the commercial starts, we come out of this new portal. And then we start.
I've seen that one, dude.
Yeah, and those ones are a little tough for me because I'm not an actor. No, I
You look like an actor, bro.
I listen. I stiffen up on these things. And Cowboy Benji's like, "You go," and I'm like, "What do I say?" And Jill's really good at it, so I always make her start. And it's kind of funny. Like you and I were talking here, it's one take. When we're doing it with Benji and he's points at you and says, go, it's like, okay, take number 5, take number 10. It sometimes takes a good 15 takes before we get it.
Yeah.
But that's the total difference. That's just not me. I'm not an actor. I don't like to act. I like to be me. And when somebody points and says, go, that's not me being me. I feel like, but Jill's really good at that. And she kind of guides me through it, which has been really cool. So we did some really cool stuff over at our new house in Litchfield Park, which is not only our house, it's our office and our warehouse now.
Dude, by the way, you're building a compound out there, dude.
It's our playground. We call it the PB Backdrops playground.
Dude, a playground it is, my friend. That's awesome, dude. Cool, man. So real quick, going into, I'm sorry, I'm coughing, dude. I don't know why I started getting in.
I get y'all choked up. That's why.
Yeah. You're so inspirational. Dude, so let's talk about leadership a little bit, man.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel you are as a leader and how are you leading your team, dude?
Well, I don't have a huge team to lead, but I lead by example. So I have my wife. I have my social media team. They're kind of on their own. I have my web gal who does all my designer. She does all my design work, who I've been working with prior to even PB Backdrops. When she was in the photo booth world, she came on board with me. And then I have my web guy who's in Canada, and I just lead by example. I treat him well. I treat them like I want to be treated. I'm never angry. Like, stuff happens. You know what I mean? It happens. I'm not going to kill you for it, but let's just fix it. And I lead by example, and they see that example and they follow it. And that's, I found the right people to surround myself with. When we do our trade shows in Vegas, I have my family come with me. So it's the full family. I have me, I have Jill, I have sometimes my oldest son, Vinny, comes. My daughter hasn't come yet, but my 2 little ones come, my in-laws come, and they all help at these shows. And they follow my lead, and everybody that comes to the show, they actually come to see me, not so much to buy my product. They come to visit me. And it's freaking awesome to see these people. I sometimes feel like I'm a rock star when I'm there, because they're like, oh my God, this is the backdrop king. And I'm like, I'm just Brian. But if you want to treat me like a king, absolutely. You want to treat me like that, that's fine, but I'm just me, right?
Dude.
But they're coming there to see me, and it just makes you feel so good that you know you've done something good, that people are doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I could totally see that blowing up on social media. The backdrop king, dude.
And you were talking about hustling. You know, I do hustle. If you look at my license plate, it actually says hustling. That's my new plate.
Brian, dude.
Yep.
Every day he hustling.
That's right.
Dude, that's cool, man. All right, dude. I guess one final question of the actual questions that I ask people, dude, and this one's like more of a personal level one, dude. You don't have to answer, so I always give people the option. But
right,
so the first question is, do you believe in God? And if you answer yes to that, like, how do you incorporate that into your business, dude?
Yes, I believe in God. I don't know my background. I'm Jewish.
Okay.
By nature, both. I'm full Jew. Didn't really go to temple as
on your mom and dad's side.
Mom and dad's side.
Get out, dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
interesting,
so,
man.
We only went to temple. Religion was never pushed on me and my three brothers.
Right.
So we didn't have mitzvahs. We went to temple when somebody died, and it was a big holiday. That was it. So now it's only when somebody dies, which is a bummer, but we just never really grew up with religion pushed on us, which was good because I really didn't want it pushed on me.
Right.
And then when I met Jill, she was not youth director, but she was like part of the youth organization for her small church in Ladera Ranch. And she said, come to church with me. I said, okay. And the pastor was a surfer guy, probably about my age at the time. And his message, he just had a great message. And it got me going to church because the message was there. Because every other thing that I'd seen about church, when you watch it on TV, I always felt like it was a money grab. You'd go to, do you remember Saddleback Church? You were from California.
Yeah.
Saddleback Church was huge. I went to Saddleback Church in California. There was probably 1,500 people when I went there. It's huge. Every single weekend, it's huge there. And when I sat down, the music was great, but then the money started going around. I'm like, look at all this. Where's all this? And I didn't like that. So, but her small little, 35 people at, most of the time at church on Sundays, it just felt good. So I started going with her, and then, we moved here and started going to CCV. And again, if you go to the right place where they have the right message, it means everything. And, God to me he watches over us. I totally believe that you have to do the right things in order to go to heaven. And I believe I've done enough good things, and I will continue to do enough things to go up there versus down there. Because I do believe there is a down there, and I don't want to go there. Right. And I know a few people who are probably down there. Yeah, and you know what? They deserve. They really deserve to be down there. I don't think they probably asked for any forgiveness at the end. They just probably went straight down there.
Interesting, dude.
Yeah, I'm not going there. No, I'm going up.
Right on, dude. Right on.
Going up. But yeah, he's. Sometimes I feel like we don't go enough, but when we do go, for some reason, that message is always right on point.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like you always have to go, but when you do go, if that message is there, yeah, it really helps.
Dude, so again, personal question. You don't have to really go in depth or answer, but dude, coming from a Jewish background, so how did you feel like attending like a Christian church? Dude, like, was that different for you, or was it like?
It was better because the Christian church was upbeat. You had the music going. You go to temple and it was pretty boring. You put your yarmulke on your head and you sit there and you listen to. You felt a bunch of old people there. There was no upbeat. There was no kids camp. The kids, we'd have to sit in temple, whereas you go to CCV, they have the kids camp. They can go have a good time and learn about God while they're having a good time. We're sitting down listening to the message, but also listening to fun music and, big difference from going to temple to a Christian church like CCV.
Yeah. Dude, total joke right now, dude. But man, CCV is gonna have to start paying some sponsorship over here, dude, because they've been getting some clout, dude, from some of my guests, dude.
Yeah, Preston paid me. He asked. Yeah, just kidding. Preston.
JK, dude. JK. Dude, interesting, dude. Interesting. And again, just the last part of that question, dude. How do you feel you incorporate that into your business?
Just doing the right things. God leads you to do the right things, and that's what I do. If I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing, sometimes you got to look up and, and he may tell you to change and do something else. And sometimes you just got to learn, but you just got to incorporate the good things in your life because God is good.
Amen, dude. Right on, dude. Cool beans, dude. So again, just some few last questions here,
Yeah.
man. So you've obviously found success, dude. And I saw a video of you the other day. Did you just buy a car or something like that, dude? Or
We bought a Tesla, so we got that. But I have my.
you were like, I think your son was recording you, and you were driving.
Oh yeah. It was so for 55 years of my life. I mean, I lived in California for years, and I would go down to PCH, and down this stretch in Newport Beach and PCH is where all the really exotic car dealerships were. In this big, 5 mile, 6 mile stretch, I always watched everybody drive their dream car down that street, and I never got to. I would drive nice cars. Don't get me wrong. I drove nice cars, but I never drove my dream car. So it was my first time in California. I got to drive my dream car down PCH. It was pretty darn cool. And what was cool about it too is I've got my son in front of me. It wasn't quite his dream car, but I'm watching him work his way to his dream car, driving that car down PCH, doing the same good things in life that I've done to get where I'm at. And that guy is he's amazing to me. My 22-year-old son, he's an entrepreneur just like me. And he's killing it. Whatever he does, I don't worry about him anymore. My daughter, on the other hand, I have a daughter too who lives there. She's 26. She's an entrepreneur too, and I don't even have to worry about either of those two anymore. They're going to be just fine.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Awesome. Hey, well, they're learning from the best, dude.
Yeah, they take some good things from me. I've seen all sides of me, but they took the good things from Dad, and they're putting them to use. And very successful. 26-year-old daughter, very successful. Son's 22 years old, very successful for their age and doing what they're doing, and couldn't be more prouder of them.
Dude, that's awesome, man. So for our listeners, dude, for our viewers, like I said, you with the success that you've had, dude, you can honestly say that you own a business, and not just a business, but a successful business, to the point where you're buying your dream car and driving it down the street you want it to always, man. So what are some words of encouragement, advice that you can give to somebody who's maybe listening, dude, and they're like, man, I want to be an entrepreneur. How do I start? Or not necessarily that in depth, but just like some things that are in your heart, in your mind, that you would like to share with the audience today.
Well, number one, you got to take chances. If you don't take a chance, you'll never do it. I mean, if you just keep saying, "Oh, I'm afraid to do it," it's just never going to happen. You got to have failures to find your success. I wasn't successful right off the bat. I've had failures, so you got to fail to succeed, and then just do the right thing. I see a lot of people, they'll be in business and they'll do the wrong thing. They can make a lot of money doing the wrong thing, but then the second that they tank, you're just never going to be in a good spot.
Right.
You're always going to be scratching and fighting. Find your niche and stick with it. Work hard, do the right thing, and treat your customers like you'd treat your own mom. And you'll be successful at that point in time. And entrepreneurship's not for everybody. It definitely isn't. It's not for everybody. Some people will find a job working for somebody else and be successful at that. Do your best at that. You could start at the low end of the totem pole and work your way up to running a business. You may not own it, but you can run it, and you can make some really good money doing that.
Right.
But you got to be willing to take chances.
Right on, dude. Right on.
Take that leap of faith.
You said something earlier, dude, that I was processing, dude. But I have ADHD, dude. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't know. I've never been clinically diagnosed, bro.
Right.
But I'm sure something's happening up there.
You got something going on, WIFFY.
I think it's a thing sometimes. But if I'll let the person continue talking, then I'll forget, dude.
Right.
But dude, I want to thank you, dude, for being here. I want to thank you for making time to come and join us in the podcast, dude. Thank you for sharing your story, dude. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Like I said, your story is very encouraging, and to see your success today, dude, I just want to give you props, man. Continue doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And know that from afar, you're inspiring people, man. I'm one of those. And like I said, my intention for this podcast, at least the serious part on Tuesday nights when we interview people, dude, is like to encourage people, man, to dream, to act, and to act on that business idea that they have, man.
Right.
Because I do believe that in this country, business has the potential to change your life, dude.
Yep.
And so with that said, man, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and love you guys. Hoorah.
Hoorah.